Hey everyone, Willie Clark here. Thanks for joining me on another wonderful week of my little YouTube project here. Oh man, I don't know why I have to shake it out or something before I start. This week's going to be a little different than the past few weeks. The past few weeks I've had a theme, I've had a specific game or the Switch or stuff to talk about. That I didn't do something that most YouTubers do when they start channels, which is introduce themselves and kind of give people a reason for why you should give a flying fuck what it is I have to say about anything. Anyways, so this is going to be my introduction video, which in fitting fashion is now coming fourth, I think. I think this is my fourth video. So you've listened to a whole bunch of videos without knowing who I am, so now I'm going to spend a few minutes actually telling you who I am. My name is Willie. I currently live in California. I'm originally from upstate New York. Grew up most of my life in a little town called Newark High School. It's probably where the relevant bits and pieces of this story come in, as I was editor-in-chief originally of my high school newspaper. I also wrote for the Daily in Rochester, New York, which was the Democrat and Chronicle. I was a member of the Teen Council there, which was a group of students who got to write in the big-time newspaper, which was pretty cool. And even further, while I'm bragging about things I did in high school, because that's what cool people do, even further to my pride was I was the only person not in a city school. Newark's, 40-ish hour away from Rochester, so I'm pretty sure I was the only person who wasn't in one of the nearby city schools who got picked to be in, at least my year. I don't know about any other years, which is pretty awesome. From there, editor-in-chief of my high school newspaper, I went to the University of Rochester in Rochester, New York, where I was first the A&E editor of the Campus Times, and from there went on to be editor-in-chief as well, and later publisher. You have this. This is probably super important. This is the 8th grade cookbook I made. These have got to be my drawings on the front of it. This must be what South Park feels like when they have a low week and they're digging in the bottom of the barrel. Here's Willie talking about his 8th grade cookbook. Yes, of course, my recipe in here is calico meringues, which my mom still makes over Christmas every year, and they're absolutely phenomenal. So that's great. That's pretty cool. I'll take it. So there you go, something about me. Calico meringues. M&M calico meringues, my favorite cookies. I like Lord of the Rings. I'll stay focused in my own video. Graduated college. Oh, I have a Campus Times thing over there. Hold on one second. Here's a pretty page of the Campus Times. This was for one of our commencement issues. I did a review of Flogging Molly's new album. There we go. I was actually very proud of this because I did the design and all that by myself. And actually, I also have over here, some of these things are just laying around, copies of my high school newspaper as well. This one, this is a good one. This one I was super proud of. Was our issue we got to print in color, which we very, very rarely did. We got to use green for St. Patrick's Day, which was awesome. I was really excited we got to do that. It was the first time in a long, I don't remember exactly how long, but it was the first time in a while that we've gotten the money to print in color, and I don't remember exactly how we did that. But I wanted green for St. Patrick's Day, so, we made it happen. Anyways, so from college, I went immediately and was hired as music editor of City Newspaper, which is what I was talking about before I got distracted by my... After college, I got hired as music editor at City Newspaper in Rochester, New York, which was the local alt weekly. I was there for 3 years. I did a whole bunch of stuff. I covered everything from food challenges. I did a whole cover story on food challenges. I did a cover on paranormal society, the different paranormal societies in Rochester. I also started the paper's very first video game review section, which is which makes more sense as to how I ended up here. This is where we need one of the little map scenes. Traveled out west to California, which is where I currently am at, and this is the part that most people are probably going to find extremely interesting. I've been freelancing for over 2 years now, and I kind of thought about this. I still might do this in post. I haven't decided yet, but I was like, oh, I could throw up the different, be fancy and throw up the different logos of all of the places that I've freelanced for, but that seemed kind of douchey. But I might do it anyways. But I mean, I've freelanced all over the place. Polygon, Games Radar, Vice, Waypoint, Paste, pretty much any gaming site that you can think of. Almost all of them I've freelanced for in one form or the other. I've still worked with alt weeklies, both in San Francisco and Sacramento. So my work's kind of all over the place. Again, mostly focusing on video games and technology, but I mean, I just wrapped up a story on different places that children can go play in Sacramento. Jack of all trades, I guess, I like to think. Oh, Charlie might be coming up for a visit. No, Charlie's running away. No cat visits this week, unfortunately. But yeah, so for the past 2 years, I've been full-time freelancing, and I've been thinking about this, and I do think I'm going to do some videos on freelancing, because I think people would be interested just to hear what it is that freelancers do, and how that works. And most of what we do, we just talk to cameras and pretend people are listening. Yeah, so I mean, I've done some of my biggest stories to date. I did a huge story on the making of Amiibo, Disney Infinity, and Skylanders for Polygon. I did another huge story for them on the entire history of Disney's development of video games, which was crazy long, and I put together pretty quick, and was interviews with a whole bunch of executives who had worked at Disney at various points in time. So that was pretty cool. I've got another really big story that I just wrapped, just handed in last week, which I will be able to talk about soon, but is a story that I've been pitching on for a while. That was another hunker, a big whopping story that I put together 2 weekends ago. But yeah, so that's me. That's me. Other things people should know. Did you get Flogging Molly is my favorite band? I said it was weird I hadn't worn a Flogging Molly shirt in one of these yet. This is my shirt from seeing them on St. Patrick's Day last weekend. Got a new hat too. I'm just all decked out this week. But yeah, Flogging Molly is my favorite band. They were actually, I got to interview them in high school, which was crazy. I still remember that. I got to interview them in high school, which was kind of crazy just to set up and be involved in, and to be interviewing, I mean, who is still my favorite band. Like, that's the first, that may have been the first interview I ever did. I may have done one other interview with like a school board member or something before that. But it was absolutely the first band interview I did, which is just crazy to think about. Like, you start with your idols. Like, here you go. Here you go, bud. Actually, I remember, I tell this story, I was sitting and interviewing Nathan, the bassist, who's a super cool dude. Super cool and chill dude. And, like, I was sitting there and I had, like, my tape recorder, and I remember that, they said, like, Nate will only do the interview if people have tape recorders, because he doesn't want people just sitting there taking notes all the time and not paying attention. I'm like, that's fine. So I had my tape recorder, and, like, my hand was, like, shaking. And my, like, first words to Nate were, like, hey, like, I don't worry about doing this interview because I'm, like, way more nervous than you are. And he was just like, I'm not nervous. I don't know, like, this is the first thing I say to him. But then, I've interviewed Bass Nectar. Most of Frank Turner, I've interviewed a few times. Mike from the Street Dogs. These are bands. I'm not making them up. These are names of people that people listen to. Kyle Gass of Tenacious D. Almost all of my favorite bands at one form or the other I've eventually gotten to interview. Along with, I've been reporting and doing stuff at E3 since college. Me and one of my good friends, Will. Shout out to 8-Bit Awesome Podcast. Doing a podcast for a few years. Me and him have been going to E3 for like 6-7 years or something at this point. Started going in college, which is also crazy. Like, I remember E3 being one of those things that it was like, I'll never get to go to this. And now every single year I've gone since, 2009 and 2010, which again is just crazy to think about. So that's me. See, Golden Sun's awesome. Banjo-Kazooie, one of my favorite games of all time. Ukulele's coming out in April, and I'm seriously considering taking a week off of work just to play it. That might be what happens. I'm long overdue for a week off, and it's coming out right around my birthday, so that might be a thing that happens. If you have any questions, things you want to see in future videos, ideas of videos you want me to do, let me know. Please be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. Go back and look at some of my old videos from the past few weeks of reviews where I actually talked about interesting things besides myself. But yeah, that's it for this week. I'm off to, I think I'm going to go play some Dragon Quest VII. I just started some Dragon Quest VII, so I think that's probably what I'm going to spend the rest of my night doing. Might take a tub too. We'll see. Have a good week, everyone. I'll talk to you next week. Peace. I don't know what the fuck that was. Bye! Hey everybody, welcome to another week of my show. Hey everyone, Willie Clark here. Thanks for joining me. And Anna just said, when you cut ums out from videos, not every single one, but I've been cutting a lot of them out, you start to notice them a bit more. I'm gonna make this a fucking pain for me to edit later, apparently. Well, and that's probably, the hair in my mouth. Oh, an eyelash. Make a wish. There you go.